and welcome on in to East Texas tonight on East Texas Now. I'm Hannah Johnson. How you doing? How you feeling? It is time to take a break from all of the news, all of the political talk. Ooh, I got buttons flying every which direction. Hold on, I want to make sure that my stuff is running as it should. Let's see here. There we go. Let's try it again. Now everything's popping up wrong. Don't you just love technology? I think it's a late night for tech and it's a late night for us, but tonight, again, like I was trying to say just moments ago, we are stepping away from the news. We are stepping away from all of the stories we've been listening to all day long, and we're taking a moment to just take a breath, to laugh, to joke, to have some fun, and of course learn about some of the leaders you know and the people you've seen all across East Texas. Tonight, I am so excited to bring in, let me make sure I have his camera set up, because clearly I'm not running on all cylinders tonight, but you know what? We give grace to ourselves, right? Even when things are a little wonky. I'm going to introduce to you now Rabbi Neal Katz.
Hi, how you doing?
How you doing? I am so excited that you're here. First of all, let me make sure I got my banner popping up. There it is. Rabbi Neal Katz, you are one of the many who I've been excited to talk to, just because, you know, I know you're one of those folks that people know you from around town, but I think even you mentioned moments ago, you were like, everybody knows me. We talk about it, but maybe they're wondering where you've been. I want to talk first about, of course, for those who don't know, let me tell you the skinny of Rabbi Katz. He spends his days serving as a thoughtful and dedicated rabbi, but off the clock, you're more than just one-dimensional. You do so much. You have so much history in nonprofits. You have history in reaching out to East Texans and being a part of the community. Tell me what decided to take a few steps back in the recent years?
Sure. So, well, let me back up for a moment from that. So I'll just
Sure.
say, I'm the rabbi at Congregation Beth El here in Tyler. I'm very proud of that congregation. We've been around since 1887, the synagogue.
Yeah.
And so I have been connected with them since 2000, but I've been there full time since 2003. So I guess I'm in year 23 or 24, depending on how you count it, of my contract with the congregation. So unlike other religious communities where you get placed, this was a relationship between me and the board, and it's just been, almost reaching a quarter century that I've been connected with the community. And so in that time, I've been able to do a lot of stuff, including a lot of nonprofit work outside of the walls of the congregation. So a lot of local agencies and organizations. And so only in the past few years, really post-COVID, when things went to Zoom, I sort of pushed off of local boards and I moved on to some more national boards where I had easier access.
Okay. And I know you said you came to East Texas. Where were you originally?
So I grew up in Virginia. I grew up in Virginia Beach, and then I went to school in Northern Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to George Mason University, and then I did a couple years of graduate work also at George Mason in counseling before I went to rabbinic school, which is a seminary, which is a 5-year graduate program. So it was 11 years total of college for me. So rabbinic school was a year in Israel and then 4 years in Cincinnati. So I came here directly from Cincinnati in 2003.
Okay.
So
and did you just fall in love with it and you're like, I'm never going to leave? Or what made you want to stay other than...
So that's a good question. What happened was when you are a rabbinic student in Cincinnati, you have a student pulpit. It's how you make money. And so I had a student pulpit in Montana. So I would fly once a month from Cincy to Great Falls, Montana, and then I would fly from once a month from Cincy to a place in Arkansas. Mm-hmm. But then I had a job in this podunk town called Tyler, Texas, which I had no relationship to, had never been to Texas before, but it was a biweekly. So that meant that every other weekend for 2 years, I flew from Cincinnati to Tyler, back and back and back and back. And so 40 or 45 trips or whatever it was, I really came to know the congregation. Meanwhile, they were looking for a full-time rabbi at that time. Mm-hmm. Still, I wasn't interested. But by the time I was getting ready to be ordained, I thought, you know what, I wouldn't mind going back to that wonderful community for 3 years.
Yeah.
And that was it. I signed a 3-year contract, and I never left. So the joke is I'm now in year 23 of a 3-year contract, which is legitimately true.
What was it that was like, you know what, I'm going to stay here? Was it just convenience, or was it, you know what, I feel like I can really do some good here?
Yes and yes, all that stuff. It's a small community, but it's deeply rooted. It's historical. We've had some wonderful members of the congregation who are super active in the Tyler community. But the congregation is a wonderful community in that it let me do a lot of the stuff outside the walls. And so it really prompted me. And what I did is I followed members of the congregation. They were involved with PATH. and then I was involved with PATH for many years, and they were involved with hospice, and I was the board chair of hospice. They were involved with Discovery Science Place, and so forth and so on. So I started following them into my nonprofit world, and then I just sort of took on my own work as well. So it's really from the congregation that I was able to do all this kind of stuff.
So you kind of let the congregation lead you where
Sure.
you're needed.
Well, I was curious what drove them, like what were the local communities that drove them. Plus, I was involved at the time with a now non-existent group of the Interfaith Ministerial Alliance, of which I was also the head of, which meant that I used to run the Martin Luther King March for 6 years on the downtown square with Reverend Jerome Milton. And so we ran that until we handed that off to the Tyler Together Race Relations Forum when that was time. So I've been involved with a lot of wonderful community building programs here. There was a group called Art of Peace for 10 years. We did a lot of mid-September every year for about a decade. We did some programming around building community. So it's really been a lot of fun.
I love that. Now, I have noticed, you're talking about the different organizations you are a part of. You were clear, you had mentioned you were the head of those organizations.
For some of them, yeah.
Is there a reason why? Did you like being the guy that everyone can turn to, or what was the leading factor there?
I think it's just a function of some leaders that if there's a vacuum, they'll offer their services. I'm also just as fine being a regular board member, serving my time and then moving off. But one of my proudest achievements here is the creation of what is now called the Mosaic Counseling Centers of East Texas. It used to be called Samaritan. There was a wonderful minister who was trying for so long to get a good East Texas mental health counseling nonprofit program here. He just couldn't pull it together. He tried for many, many years. So finally, C.C. Baker of blessed memory got a group of clergy together. I'll never forget it. I think it was in December of 2010, maybe. And we met at Mother Francis, and he got about a dozen local clergy, and he says, look, this is a wonderful project. It's just been circling. So here's the deal. You're going to meet back here in a month. You're going to show up with two things, a check and a member of your congregation to serve on the board. And if you don't do those things, we're not doing this project. That's C.C. Baker. That's one of his geniuses. And that's exactly what happened. So over the next year, we built out what became known as the Samaritan Counseling Center. It was from my office that we actually hired our first director, and it has grown into such an important local resource. And I was the board chair for that, but I'm also happy to have stepped off the board because there's a lot of wonderful people leading that right now.
So what made you want to step back? Was it just too much, or was it like, you know what, it's time to pass the cards on to someone else?
Yeah, no, it's never too much. I feel like I have an endless supply of time and ability to offer myself, but there were just really good people who were coming on the board, and it becomes stagnant. A board and an organization becomes stagnant over time, and good policy, good governance is that you're there for a period of time and you leave. And that's what I did. I feel like in that particular case, I could have stayed there longer.
Yeah.
But I really felt like there were some other people that needed to be in my stead.
Do you think it takes a good leader to know when to step down?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you lead from a place of love, but at a certain point, you have to trust that other people know what they're doing as well. And I am part of the history of that particular organization, but I'm not necessarily in charge of the future of the organization. So Chris Taylor, who runs it right now, is amazing. Yeah. And he knows what he's doing, and the counselors are amazing. And the amount of the 10, I don't know what the number is now, there's thousands and thousands of counseling hours that organization provides. And it's not enough, just because we need access to good mental health counseling here in East Texas.
Yeah. I know you mentioned before that you put your focus more on some national projects for yourself. Back here in East Texas, what's taking up your time here at home?
Oh, so I work full time at the congregation still. So I take care of the congregation and I teach there, and I teach. It's rare, but I teach every few semesters at UT Tyler. There's a class on Introduction to Judaism. They started an introduction. They started a religion minor a while back, and so there's a Judaism class, a Christianity class, an Islam class. So I teach it. It's about every other semester, maybe 2 to 3 at this point. And so I teach, I write, I also do music. I'm involved in just local stuff. I'm also an empty nester, so my kids are off all out of the house at this point. So a couple in Austin and one overseas.
Oh, wow. How do you keep in touch with everybody? I mean, clearly you have a very busy schedule.
With the kids?
Yeah.
So my son works for Apple. He's in Austin, so we see him every once in a while. My youngest is also in Austin. She's at UT in Austin. Mm-hmm. She's a sophomore. And my daughter actually is studying to be a rabbi, just in the same program I was. So she's currently in Israel. So she's been there since last summer, and she'll be coming home at the end of May.
Oh, wow.
So she's in Jerusalem right now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you feel like you've instilled that leadership aspects in all of them?
I hope so. Yeah, yeah. My son's much more computer-oriented, programming-oriented.
I mean, he's working for Apple. I mean,
Right,
yeah.
that's his background there. But the other two are very much, not that Micah's not a leader, but, in the world of Jewish professional work, both Lila, the one in Israel, and Rebecca, that's their area of interest.
I love that. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned you do a lot of music. I remember seeing your emails coming through for the Hanukkah concert. Tell me more about what got you into music.
Well, I've been a musician my whole life. I originally was classical and jazz trombone and band and so forth. But then when I picked up guitar, I became what's called a song leader. So I was making money in college playing youth group events in the Jewish world up in the D.C. area for retreats and synagogues and rituals and so forth. And that led me ultimately to, I have 4 CDs of my own music that I recorded over some time. But what happened here in Tyler is we would bring it into the congregation, and I just started building a stable of local musicians that are all phenomenal, and we got too big. And so we moved it outside of the congregation, and we did 18 years of a Hanukkah klezmer concert. Klezmer is like Eastern European Jewish music, like Fiddler on the Roof.
Okay.
So that was a one time a year concert, and we did it for 18 years, and this past year, as far as I know, was the last time we're doing it. So it's done, but it would end. I think this past year we had like 300 or 400 people at True Vine. It was just a free Monday night concert, and it was awesome.
I'm going to pull up a picture here.
Yeah. So that was
this
from
the
this.
event?
This was the event, and so every year there's always sort of a special guest or a funky guest artist. So this year there's a guy, I can't see the picture very well. He's standing next to me on the far right there, but his name is Joe Buchanan. He's a country Jewish music singer. So cowboy hat, country song, anyway. It's not normally the music that we do, but I brought him up from Houston because I thought it would be fun to introduce the community to Joe Buchanan, who is just a tremendous, tremendous talent.
Now,
But the rest of those musicians are the core group of the klezmer band, and they're all local musicians and teachers and so forth. None of which are Jewish, by the way. They know the music because we've been playing together for all those years.
why was this the last time?
It takes a month of my life to put it together every year.
Okay.
So it's just. I'm not saying I'm done doing local music,
Right.
But that particular show hit a peak last year.
A labor of love.
Yeah, and I'll share a funny story, by the way.
Sure,
So
tell
every
me.
year I do some kind of funny shtick. So I was very proud of this past year. It was so good, and it took me 2 months to organize a 1-minute joke, but it paid off beautifully. So the joke was that during the middle of the concert, I said to the crowd, and they know me, they've been coming all these years. I said, and by the way, 90% of the audience is not Jewish. So I said, all these years we've been doing Hanukkah music, we've been doing klezmer music, we've been doing guest artists, but I've never told the story of Hanukkah. Do you all mind? And of course, this is all intentional. And so they were, of course, clapped, going to give me a chance to talk. And I then started telling the story of Hanukkah, intentionally boring. In 332, before the zero, there was Alexander the Great, and after he died, his sons and the Seleucids and the Ptolemies, and you could see all the blood drain out of their face. I said, maybe there's a faster way to tell the story of Hanukkah. Why don't I bring up licensed Texas auctioneer J.B. Smith, our former county sheriff? And so J.B. comes up there, scripted, and he tells the story of Hanukkah in 1 minute as an auctioneer style. Yeah, in 332, it was told to me, you got 1 light, 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights. It was a candle. I can't do it. And then he said, Judith Maccabeus, whatever. And then he finishes it, and the place, you couldn't even hear half of the joke because they were screaming, they were cheering. It was so funny. And in fact, the story is the night before, I was talking to JB, and he said, when I do my bit, I want to talk about being an auctioneer. Like, I want to talk about how they taught me to roll my R's and do that kind of stuff. And I said, sure. Yeah. I mean, I was happy that he was coming to even be part of this. So as soon as he finished the thing, roaring applause, he started to walk off stage. And I said, don't you want to talk about it? He says, nope. Like, he knew that he had hit his moment and he wasn't going to take it any more than that. So JB was so great. It was just a funny moment. And the fact that, and I made the joke, I said, I just want to be clear. There's one place on the planet where you're going to hear the story of Hanukkah told in auctioneer style. And it was here in Tyler, Texas tonight. Yay, cheering, and then we move on to the next song. So that's the kind of fun we would have at those shows.
Is that your favorite moment from that concert or from any of the concerts you had in the past?
I don't know if it's my favorite moment. I think it was a perfectly orchestrated moment.
Perfectly
I had a better
orchestrated.
moment back in 2018. But they're all good. Just it's just fun. The music is great, and the musicians are just. It's my favorite hour and a half of the year. But to get to that hour and a half of playing music,
Yeah.
it's a lot of work: scoring, marketing, fundraising,
Yes.
advertising, the logistics of it, and just it takes a long time. But it's a really fun, wonderful community program. I say that now, knowing that I'm not planning on doing it again.
Yeah.
But I've also said I'm not doing it again for the past 5 years. But
So we'll see what happens come next year.
we'll see. But it may be some variant form of it. But,
Okay.
But it's a lot of fun to play with local musicians.
Absolutely. Now, when you were first getting started, when it comes to, I know you had mentioned trombone and other
Right.
instruments that you were playing. Was there an artist that you were like, oh, this is the best? Maybe when you were growing up in your teens, what was the artist?
Well, I'm going to go more the guitar route than the trombone route. But no, I was very much into. Well, I was very much, of course, into the Beatles, like everybody.
Oh,
but,
absolutely.
But I was really into John Denver, James Taylor, all the classic acoustic guitar people. I happen to be a big, I call it Harry Chapin freak, if you know who Harry Chapin is. So the famous song was "Cats in the Cradle."
Yes.
I wouldn't say it's his best song, but it's his most famous song. Harry, I was addicted for a long time to Harry's music. Phil Oakes, who's another great artist who actually they just commemorated his 50th anniversary of his passing a couple days ago. And then as I got into what's called the new folk movement, so these are people you probably haven't heard of, like David Wilcox and John Gorka and Christine Lavin. These were just really wonderful kind of late 90s singer-songwriters, and I was able to follow in their footsteps. So I have some singer-songwriter material, and then I have stuff for the Jewish community as well.
So how would you describe your genre as like singer-songwriter?
Singer-songwriter, yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Is there a song you always go back to in your head that makes you feel good?
Of mine or other people's? Or
Either or.
I'm a big fan of John Gorka, who is just a wonderful craftsman. So I can't even. Nobody would even know any of his songs, but Blue Chalk is a famous one that I happen to like. Mm-hmm. But it's just the way he plays and sings and just got this beautiful voice. So anyway, that didn't really answer the question, but I'm up for anything. I think we learned that the music that you listened to when you were 18, 19, 20 is the music that sticks with you for your whole life.
Absolutely.
And that's what I was listening to at that time. I used to go to folk clubs in the D.C. area and in Israel when I was doing that for college. And that was the music that was playing.
Now, was that in vogue, or were you kind of like the offset of your like friend group of?
Probably offset. I mean, that was also the time. I'm sure they were into Nirvana or more hard rock kind of stuff. But I was really interested in the craft of songwriting.
I like that. I like that a lot. When you're playing, does it take? What am I trying to say? Do you feel yourself falling into a moment of serene and joy, or what is music to you? What does it feel like for you to perform?
So I have the benefit of performing pretty much most, not all, but most of the services that we lead. So my music is also very liturgical. So I'm singing kind of Jewish prayer book music as well. And there is actually a genre called Jewish rock or Jewish folk music.
Okay.
And that's what I was doing when I was a song leader. So I was a song leader in Israel and all across the East Coast and Midwest and at summer camps. So performing for me is also very much a spiritual moment because I'm doing it connected to prayer.
Yes.
But if I'm doing folk music, it's really just the fun of the actual craft of songwriting. I'll share a cute story.
Sure.
100 years ago, I think when I first pulled my guitar out to do folk music, which I had never made money doing it. I was always doing like Jewish music. So somebody invited me to a now non-existent coffee house in White House, Texas called Upper Creek Coffee House. And so I was offered to come up there and audition for the owner. And he liked me. He said, well, you've got a great voice and you play. I want to put you on. So he brings me to a show, and it may have been Halloween that particular year. This is 20-some years ago. And I didn't even know you got paid. He gave me a few bucks at the end of the show, and I didn't even know you got money. I said, what is this? He said, this is a cover charge. I said, I didn't even know such a thing existed. He said, I'm going to put you on the schedule for 6 months from now. I want you to come back and play. He said, but you're the rabbi, so I want you to do some Jewish music. I said, absolutely not. Why would I do, Cat Stevens, James Taylor, John Denver, my originals? Why would I then put in some Jewish music in the middle of that in White House, Texas?
Yeah.
Right, in a folk show. He said, no, that's what people want to hear. They want to come out and they want to hear the rabbi, want to hear some Jewish music. I go, absolutely not. And he just said, I'm not bringing you back unless. And so, we kind of goofed around. But
Was he trying to make it a gimmick or like a...
I think he believed by the way, correctly, that people who came out and saw me knew that they wanted to hear the rabbi sing some music. So,
Okay.
all right. So I
Okay.
think I put 5 songs into the run of maybe 30 songs or whatever the set list was. I did it against my will, but I did it, and everybody in the room loved it. It was fine. But at the end of that show, he came up to me and he said, "Hey, listen, I'm going to put you on the schedule for 6 months. People loved it. You had a big crowd. Just not as much Jewish music next time." Right? And I just laughed at that. I said, whatever. So 6 months later, this is the end of the story. 6 months later, that Saturday night that I was going to perform, I printed out Saturday the identical set list, literally same order, like this song, this song, this song, this song, because I didn't have time to write a new one. So identical set list, identical number of Jewish songs, identical placement in the set. And at the end of that show, the owner came up to me and says, "Tonight, that was the right amount of Jewish music."
Okay. Okay. Okay.
So just once you got used to it, I guess. But I really try to keep them separate. Like I do folk venue stuff, and I was involved heavily with Kerrville Folk Festival for a number of years. But I still do Jewish music at the congregation, of course, and then I do concerts personally when I travel to Europe or when I go around the country here. But folk music, that's just more of a fun hobby, if that makes sense.
Is it easier to keep them separate?
Yeah, so it just depends on the audience. But it's fun to share folk music with my Jewish audiences. Not so much Jewish music with my folk audiences, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh wow, I feel like
so
we're almost running out of time. But can I throw some rapid fire questions at you, or is that like?
Yeah, no,
Okay.
I love it.
All right, get ready. Prepare yourself. Let's get to it. All right. Easy one first, okay? Rapid fire. Coffee or tea?
Oh, me, coffee.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Early riser, night owl?
Night owl.
Okay. One hobby you wish you were better at?
A hobby I wish I was better at? Songwriting.
Okay. Clearly you got skills.
You can never, yeah, but you can, it's, I actually went to a conference last year in Colorado to work on songwriting skills.
Okay.
It's something you constantly work at.
All right, Mr. Artist. That's
Yeah,
spoken
yeah.
like a true artist there.
Yeah.
Something people would be surprised to learn about you.
That I'm an active poker player as well.
I love it.
Yeah.
Now, if you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Superpower would
Yeah.
be probably invisibility.
Oh, that's a good one. Okay.
guess.
All right. What is the most misunderstood thing about being a rabbi?
The most misunderstood thing about being a rabbi.
Yeah.
So whenever I have groups come to the congregation, I always kind of start with the things that they didn't ask me, but I know that they're thinking because I've heard it a million times.
Yes.
So I say rabbis can be married.
Yeah.
Rabbis can have kids. Rabbis can be women. And I talk about that. So I think a lot of people, because they project their own community, whatever their particular ministerial leadership is.
Yes.
They put it on me because when I say I'm involved with the Jewish community as a spiritual leader, they say, "Oh, he must be like a priest, he must be like an imam, he must be like a pastor."
Right.
So, and every community has a little bit different, but and rabbis don't have any special status. We're not intermediaries between you and God. We are just teachers.
I like that. Another one, I think it just popped in my head. How do you feel, because you had mentioned people are trying to connect what they think something is to what they already know. In media, we know a lot of people who are not Jewish go to Adam Sandler in all of his works. Do you ever feel like he's a good representative or not? Or do you get tired of like, oh, okay, we're talking about Adam Sandler again?
I'm very proud of Adam. Like, I think he's, he owns it. He's up front with it. He wears it on his sleeve. He's not shoving it down your throat. He's just celebrating it in his own way. And he's done great movies with it. He's done the funny Hanukkah song. So more power to him.
Right on. Letting him be him, even allowing his Jewish faith be a part of who he is.
Well, I would just say, like, in the world of celebrity, in the
Yes.
world of well-known people, there are other
Yes.
unnamed people who hide it, or they discount it, or they try and explain things away. That's not what Adam does. Adam, as a good example, he just owns it. He is who he is. Nobody has to apologize for being Mormon or being a Catholic or being, a Muslim. They have to apologize sometimes for being Jewish. So Adam doesn't do that. And it does, whether I agree with him for the way he does things all the time is immaterial. I think he's great.
Last one. The last song you listened to.
The last song I listened to, well, it's unfair, but I would just say, because it's one of my songs that I'm working on, so it's a liturgical piece that I'm writing and I'm getting ready to submit for publication.
What's the name of it? Does it not have a name?
It doesn't have a name, but it's a Hebrew piece that's connected to, I'll give you a better answer.
Okay.
I'll give you a better answer. There's another piece that I really like, and it's called The Point of the Valley. And it's another song that I wrote that I don't love yet, but I'm working on it little by little by little. And I had a chance to talk with some friends this past weekend about how to strengthen the song and so forth. So it's just been in my head nonstop, that particular piece. And that's a folk piece.
I love it. All right.
Yeah.
Rabbi Neal Katz joining us with
Great.
just getting to learn more about you. Thank you for coming on.
That was great. Thank you.
Of course. And just a heads up, anytime y'all got events coming up, I know you're talking about, not sure about the Hanukkah concert coming up. Just let us know. We'd love to have you on during dayside, during the normal daylight hours.
Okay,
Well,
perfect.
thank you, sir.
All the time.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, now let's go ahead and I'll send you off. Y'all have a great evening. Good night.